Hello and welcome to More Clients, More Results Week 4, and in this week we're going to start to look at direct mail a little bit, and by the end of this week we're going to have everything we need to do direct mail if that's what you want to do. So an overview of this week, what we're going to cover is, to start with, we're going to look at the habits required for success. Then we're going to talk a little bit about why direct mail, why should we be doing it, or why should we be considering it. We're going to go over the templates, the letter that we use, and the elements that need to be present there. We're going to talk about list building, so we need to build a list of prospects that we're going to mail to, and we're going to look at the envelope that the letter goes in, so that's really very important as well. And then of course the final part is we're going to put it all together. So the objective for this week is that by the end of the week you should have everything that you need to start doing direct mail. So before we get into that, before we get into the direct mail stuff, then I want to share a few things with you that have been very helpful to me and really account, I would say, for a lot of my success. And those are the habits of success. Now, we're all creatures of habit, for better or for worse, and everything we do is actually a result of habit. So if we're successful, it's because we have habits that support our success. And likewise, if we're unsuccessful, it's because we have habits that really don't support our success. So if we develop successful habits, our success then can pretty much run on autopilot, right? Which is a good thing, and life just becomes a whole heck of a lot easier. So vice versa works in that same situation as well. So the exact opposite is true. Our health is a result of our dietary and lifestyle habits. Our body is the result of our exercise habits. Our business and our finances are the results of our business and financial habits. Some people spend out of habit and other people save out of habits, but regardless, this is all habitual behavior. Now, every aspect of our life can be traced to a habit, and a great book on this, if you're interested in looking at it more and going into it in a little bit more detail, is The Power of Habit: Why We Do What We Do and How We Can Change by Charles Duhigg. That's a great read on the subject. Now, the number one thing to understand here is that success is actually a habit. It's just a habit, as is failure. Failure is a habit as well. If we've got successful habits, we'll be successful. If we've got unsuccessful habits, will be a failure. Now, we really want to make sure that we're developing habits that support our success, our growth, and so on and so forth, and that we're eliminating habits that really don't. And another way to look at this, or another way to put this, would be looking at our daily disciplines or our daily routines. So it's important that we set up supportive disciplines and supportive routines that are going to develop habits that actually get us to where we want to be on a consistent, automatic basis, and that facilitate our growth both personally and in business. So I'm going to share with you in this short video the habits that really, in my opinion, must be exercised on a daily basis. Now, as I say, this is just my opinion. Feel free to agree or disagree, but these are the habits that I've been able to cultivate, that I can see when they're present, the results get better in my life, and when I get a little bit lazy with them, the results start to go away. So this is my experience, but like I say, feel free to disagree and add your own habits. Now, these are required if you want to achieve and maintain any level of success in any aspect of your life. We're not just talking about business here. This goes across all aspects of your life. Now, the first habit, which in my opinion is the most important habit to develop on a daily basis, is going to be personal development. You see, the fact of the matter is, your business can only grow as big as you are, because you're the cause of its growth, right? If you're leading the growth and you're directing the growth and you're the cause of its growth, then how can it grow bigger than you? It really can't. So for your business to grow bigger, then the simple mathematical equation is you must become bigger first. And that's why I spend a lot of time on this stuff in each week of this training course, is because this mindset stuff, and it's really setting habits and rituals and routines and stuff like that, and kind of addressing how you approach each day, approach each week. It's really very important, because simply adding tools doesn't make you bigger. And remember, you've got to get bigger in order to grow your business. All adding tools does is it just makes your toolbox bigger, and it makes it heavier to carry as well. So giving you a better tool is worthless unless at the same time you're developing more skillful hands to manage that tool, and hopefully that's what's going on here. So I want to give you a great tool, but at the same time I want to increase your skill level in your ability to wield that tool and use that tool. Only then, after that skill has been increased to match the level of the tool, so if you're given an upgraded tool, then you've got to be given an upgraded set of skills as well to manage that tool, right? Only then does the new tool actually become of value to you. So that's why I think these mindset videos and the videos like this at the beginning of each week are really very important to what we're doing here, because at the end of the day, if you're limited, then your business is going to be limited, right? Because you are the catalyst for growth in your business and you are the cause for growth. So we're all limited to different degrees, and none of us, especially me, are beyond growth. And in fact, one of the ironic things is the more we grow and the more we start to understand this stuff, the more we realize that the potential for growth in us is huge and that we really do have a long way to go. So I would say a portion of every day needs to be devoted specifically to personal growth and personal development. And I would suggest that it's the very first portion of the day. Now, the reason I would suggest that is because if you're not bigger today, if you're not a bigger person today, if you're not a bigger entrepreneur today than you were yesterday, then you simply can't get bigger results than you did yesterday, right? Makes sense? So in order for you to get a bigger outcome than you got yesterday, you've got to be a bigger person than you were yesterday. So if we can devote some time at the beginning of every day to personal growth, then that gives us the opportunity. It gives us the chance at a bigger result every day by building that habit of growing and personally developing every day and being bigger and better than you were yesterday. So I do this first thing, and I recommend you to do, and I'm going to show you my schedule in a little bit. I've got my schedule planned out, and I'm going to share that with you so you can see exactly how I plan my day and how this works out in practicality and reality. So the second habit that to me is really just so important to develop, and this could easily be number one as well, and that's going to be a positive mental attitude. And that's absolutely critical that you keep just an extremely positive mental attitude, which we'll refer to as PMA from this point on, because as entrepreneurs, as everybody is probably aware and I'm sure can relate to, we live lives of ups and downs, right? Our lives are not consistent and level. We get some ups and we get some downs, and we usually one of either or, we're up or we're down, right? So our lives consist of highs and lows. For me especially, and again, I'm sure people can relate to this, one day it just seems like we rule the world, and then the next day it seems like the world has ended. You know, it's a real roller coaster of a ride sometimes. And that's just simply the nature of the life that we've all chosen to live. And I'm not complaining about that. I wouldn't have it any other way. But what it does mean is that we've really got to find a way to regulate those emotional ups and downs, or else it's going to be not such a great roller coaster ride, or else, you know, the quality of life that we experience is just going to be low, regardless of how much success we achieve. Having good success isn't going to level out those ups and downs, and if we can't get a grip of those, then it's going to be difficult, right? So I'm sure most of you can relate to what I'm saying here. This is just the nature of entrepreneurialism, and that's why, having said that, it's absolutely no accident whatsoever that a positive mental attitude in Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with, and if you're not, I would suggest you familiarize yourself with it, is actually the number one requirement for wealth. That's the number one characteristic that all wealthy people have, is a positive mental attitude. And this really is a must master skill for high performance. We've got to be able to control our mental state and keep it positive at all times. So in order to do that, we have to be in the habit of creating certainty and positivity in our life on a daily basis, which are really the main ingredients for a positive mental attitude. We need a certain level of certainty, and we need obviously positivity for it to be a positive attitude. So we need to do this regardless of what we're seeing or what we're experiencing in our temporary reality, right? In our temporary physical reality, what we're seeing is not necessarily the way it's going to be tomorrow or the next day. So we just don't want to get carried away with that, because business is like the tides of the ocean. If it's in, then you know 100% for sure it's going out again later on today. And if it's out, you know 100% for sure it's coming in later on today. We don't have to worry about that. We don't have to worry about the tide, if it's out coming back in, or if it's in going back out. And we can say the same about a lot of stuff. Use winter and summer. If it's winter, we know spring's coming, right? If it's summer, we know winter's coming. It's basically cycles, what I'm talking about here. And business is exactly the same. It falls into those cycles. So if you understand this, if you understand these cycles that we go through, then it becomes much, much easier to stay positive when the tide's out. We just have to have the faith that it's coming back in. We don't question that summer's coming in winter. We don't question that the morning's coming during the night, and we don't question that the tide's coming in when it's out. And we need to get to that point in our business as well. If you're not having a great day or a great week, don't freak out. Just have the faith and have the confidence that it's coming back around. Summer's coming, the morning's coming, the tide's coming in. And vice versa. When it is in, don't get crazy. When things are going really great, don't get crazy. Just enjoy it. Keep as level as you can, but just understand that if it's summertime, winter's coming, right? If the tide's in, it's going out. If it's the middle of the day, then at some point the night will come. So we need to be aware of that as well. So the tide's going to go out again at some point. Now, the secret here is to understand these cycles and to be able to stay level through them. And understanding them actually really is the key to remaining level through them. Once we understand that this is just the way it is and it's the way it's always going to be, and we can start to not get carried away with the elations of the highs, or we don't sink into the despairs of the lows, then it becomes easy because we know both are temporary and both will pass away. When we're feeling really good, we know that mood will pass away, and when we're feeling really bad, we know that mood will pass away too. And this being understood, I would say that every day should begin with the habit of an attitude check and an attitude enhancement, because the thing is, your attitude will pervade absolutely everything that you do throughout the day, and it just can't be left to chance or circumstance that a good attitude shows up. See, if you get it right, if you get your attitude right at the beginning of the day and you become positive about everything, then it's really hard to go wrong, because that positive attitude is going to carry through to everything. And like I said, it pervades everything you do during the day. It's going to pervade your relationships, it's going to pervade your sales calls, it's going to pervade your activity. And if you start the day with a great attitude, it's really hard to go wrong. And hey, even if things don't go as you planned, it really doesn't matter, because you're happy anyway. You've got a great attitude. But the flip side of that is, if you get it wrong, if you get your attitude wrong and you start out in a bad mood, or you start out with some negativity, or you start out in not the greatest place to start out, then it becomes very, very difficult for the day to go right. So it's just a good habit to get into, to start putting yourself into an optimal mental condition first thing in the morning, and that's just going to set you up really well for the rest of the day. And when you do that, this is growth. This is you growing personally, being able to control your mood and being able to control your attitude, and you making the decision of what that's going to be instead of it just showing up and you going with it. Then this is you getting bigger. This is you growing. And as you grow, your business is going to grow. And when you exercise this discipline, this is you starting to become bigger than your feelings. This is you starting to become bigger than your moods. And this is where you actually take control of your feelings instead of your feelings taking control of you. And as I say, this is you becoming a bigger individual. This is you becoming a bigger person. And this is you becoming a bigger lighthouse for your business to gain the direction and light to grow from. So you want to act in spite of how you feel every day. Now, I do this by listening to my favorite motivational speakers on YouTube first thing in the morning. This is kind of my habit, and the way I manage this process is I get up and I do this while I do the more mundane task of building my direct mail list every day, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. So I'll be going through that task, which ordinarily would be a fairly boring task, but if I put some of my favorite motivational speakers, like, I don't know, Zig Ziglar or Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins, Brian Tracy, a whole bunch of people that I could name that's just readily findable, easily locatable on YouTube, and I listen to those while I'm doing this rather boring task. A, it gets me through the task, and B, I'm just really ready to go by the end of it, because I'm excited, I've been pumped up, I've got some good motivation, I've got some good attitude adjustments, and I'm ready to go with the day. It really does set me up for the day, and it helps to pass that time, which, as I say, otherwise would be a fairly dull and uninteresting part of the day. So here's the bottom line with all of this stuff. Personally, I need to be reminded daily, and I would suggest that's probably everybody. I don't want to be judgmental or presumptuous, but I would say probably everybody needs to be reminded daily that every adversity I face carries the seed of equal but opposite opportunity. I need to hear very often that the success that I achieve will be inversely proportional to the adversity that I faced in order to achieve it, because I know that I'm going to face some adversity during the day, right? It's like very rarely do I have a day that just goes 100% smoothly. There's always some adversity during the day. There's always some problems. And as I say, that's the nature of the industry that we work in, or not even the industry, the lifestyle that we've chosen, being entrepreneurialism. So I need regularly to be told, I need to be told on a daily basis that in order to have what others cannot have, then I simply must endure what others are not willing to endure. And here's the truth about that. Once I understand that this is normal, and it's even a necessary part of my day, then it just makes it all very easy to deal with, right? So as the ups and downs during the day come, as they inevitably will, then I'm not freaking out. I'm able to go back to these quotes that I'm hearing in the morning and saying, this adversity is a good thing because I need to face adversity to have success. Or when something's not going right, instead of just putting my head down and getting depressed and saying this is not going right, I can't believe it, I'm ruined, then ask myself the question, there's a seed of opportunity that's in this adversity, what is it? And if I can shift my attention from looking at the problem and focusing on what's going wrong to looking at it as an opportunity and trying to find the opportunity that exists within the situation, then I'm able to maintain my mood, I'm able to manage my mood, I'm able to stay positive, and I'm able to move through the process and move through the problem and come out of the other side stronger and better and bigger than I was before the problem. And I would suggest that that's everybody, really. That's everybody in every aspect of life. We can all grow and benefit from experiencing that. So, as I say, when you understand this, when you've set yourself up for the day with those attitudes, then it's possible to even get excited in the face of adversity. When you do this for long enough, you can start to look at problems, and the bigger the problem, you can say, wow, this is going to be a really great opportunity on the other side of it. And, of course, nobody likes adversity and nobody likes problems, but hey, if we can start to get a little bit excited instead of depressed when we see some problems, and we can start to understand that we can actually benefit from this and we can get bigger and our business can grow from it, then we start to look at adversity and problems in a little bit of a different way. And as I say, you just can't wait for that good mood to show up every day and just hope that it does. That's not really a plan for success. That's not an attitude that's going to get you to where you want to go. We've got to demand it of ourselves. We've got to demand that the mood that supports what we want to do shows up, and we've got to have a method of ensuring that it does show up, and we do that through creating habits. Because, as I've already said, a positive attitude surely is going to infect the whole of your workday, and it's going to affect the people that you come into contact with. Positivity is contagious. People want to work with a positive person. They don't want to work with a negative person. Negativity and a negative attitude is contagious as well. So get in the habit of feeding your mind with positivity first thing in the morning. And if this all sounds a bit hokey-cokey to you, and positive thinking, I think I can, that's really not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about just conditioning your mental state of mind to really support you in a very supportive way, as opposed to just kind of go in whichever direction the wind blows. And this is not I think I can mentality. This is a little bit more solid than that. So you want to treat it like this. You want to treat it in the same way that you feed your body breakfast first thing in the morning, right? So your mind is just as important as your body, because actually that's the tool that we work with 90% of the day, right? We're sat here in the office in the chair, and it's our mind that's doing the work. So, if we were going out doing roofing or something like that, or digging ditches for a living, we wouldn't dream of going out of the house without feeding our body the nutrients that it needs to get through the day. Yet as people that work with our minds, we don't do the same with our minds first thing in the morning. We need to give our mind the stimulation and the nutrition that it needs to get us through the day in the most effective, supportive way it possibly can. So you want to make a habit of this, right? So the third habit that you really want to get in the habit of doing is the habit of marketing. Now, that probably sounds a bit silly to some people, seeing as this is a marketing course and everybody is here because they want to learn how to be better marketers, right? And how to get their product into the market and make more money. But bear with me just a second. Because every day you must develop a routine and a habit that ensures potential buyers see your product, right? Now, there's a lot of marketers that will be watching this video here that is not the case for. There are days go by when people don't see your product. There are days go by when there's new people, new prospects don't come into contact with you for the first time. So we want to develop the habit that ensures that every single day potential buyers, potential customers are seeing you and they're seeing your product. And every single letter that you send out is a chance. Now, we're talking about direct mail this week, but it doesn't have to be letters. It can be anything. Anytime you reach out to somebody on LinkedIn, anytime you launch a Facebook campaign, anytime you send a direct mail letter, anytime you send an email call to somebody, every one of those is a chance. Every one of those is an opportunity, right? And the more opportunities you can give yourself, the better. Every email is a chance. Every contact request on LinkedIn is a chance. Because here's the thing, you can't win the lottery if you don't buy a lottery ticket. That's just all there is to it. Doesn't matter how good your message is, doesn't matter how good your product is, it just doesn't matter. If people don't know you're out there, and people don't know that you can solve problems that they're willing to pay for, then you haven't bought a lottery ticket. So you want to get in the habit of giving yourself a chance every single day. Now, having said that, you've got to understand this as well. Not every lottery ticket is a winner, right? So we can send out a lot of direct mail letters, and not every one of them is going to turn into business, or not everyone is going to turn into even a consult, right? So not every email we send is going to be responded to. Not every contact request we made is going to be responded to. So we got to understand that as well. This is just simply a numbers game here. And the fact of the matter is that most of the things we send out, by whatever means, they're actually not going to be responded to in the same way that most lottery tickets we buy simply are not going to turn into a winning lottery ticket. But look, here's the deal, right? If you buy enough, You're going to get a winner from time to time. Go into a gas station and buy scratch cards. If you buy enough of them, you're gonna win at some point. You're gonna win some money at some point. So we need to do the same. We need to make sure that we're getting in front of enough people on a daily basis to give ourselves a fighting chance. And we need to do this every day, every day, every day, every day, every day, every day, relentlessly and habitually. So we want to reach out to prospects as a habit, and we want to plan it, we want to schedule it, we want to execute it. And as I say, we're going to go through my daily schedule in a minute, and you can see how I do it, and you can copy that if you want to, or you can take it and you can change it and use it however you want, or you can just throw this whole thing out. It's entirely up to you. So this really is the simplest secret to success, and that is just what I've just talked about, really, is understanding that you've got to give yourself a chance, and you've got to be getting out there on a daily basis and getting in front of people on a daily basis. So there are going to be days when you feel like it's just not working. There are going to be weeks when you feel like it's just not working. You send out a bunch of letters, or you send out a bunch of contact requests, or whatever it is you're doing, and it's just dead. The whole world is just dead to what you do, and that's going to happen, right? Just that's a realistic expectation. You're going to have weeks like that. But this is the time when the bigger you has now got to come in and take control of that situation and say to the little you, I really don't care what you think about this. I don't care that you think it's not working. I'm moving forward. I'm taking the steps. I'm doing the actions. Regardless, the bigger you has got to shout, the greater the adversity, the greater the gain, right? So when you're feeling like adversity is piled on top of you, you got to shout that out. The greater the adversity, the greater the gain. You got to shout, bring it on. You got to get excited about this stuff. Because as we've just talked about, the bigger the challenge you face, the bigger the reward at the end of it, right? And let's face it, let's be honest, if this was easy, everybody would be doing it, right? I mean, I talk about how easy it is to get clients all the time, but maybe I should clarify that a little bit. When I say easy, I mean doable. The word easy to me and doable are the same things. It's like, if it's doable, it's easy, right? Because you just got to do it. You just got to get out, and you just got to make the contact request. You just got to do the hard yards. You've just got to put in the time. That's it. So when I talk about things being easy, I mean they're doable. That's what I mean there. So as I say, if this was easy, then everybody would be doing it, and everybody would have a ton of clients, and everybody would be wealthy, and everybody would be living the lifestyle that we all dream about, right? So there are no shortcuts here. There's only wise paths that we can choose. And as Jim Rohn says, don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. And again, that's a great mantra to take with you through the day, if that's the right word for it. Mantra, I don't know, is that the right word? I'm not sure, but we'll go with that. It's a great one to take with you throughout the day. Every time things get hard, every time things don't seem to be going your way, just wish that you were better, and look for the upside. How can I grow from this? How can I get better? How can I become a better marketer? How can I become a better family man? How can I become a better whatever? That's the opportunity that exists in these situations. So you want to demand by habit that the bigger you comes to the surface and takes control whenever adversity shows up. Now, it's easy to be big when everything's going right? It's easy for the bigger you to be there when everything's going swimmingly well, and you're making money and everybody's saying yes, and it's easy peasy, 1 2 3 easy. It's when things start to go wrong and things don't seem to be doing what it is that you want them to do. That's when you get to learn who you really are, and that's when you really want the bigger you to come out and start to take control and manage and handle the situation. Now, these habits that we've just talked about, these are habits that are going to put success on autopilot, right? So let me share with you my daily routine and show you how I implement these habits on a daily basis. And as I say, take it, leave it, throw it out, do whatever you want with it. But this is what I do, and this is what has worked for me. And whenever I change this routine, my results tend to go down a little bit. So a typical cycle for me is I'll be doing not as well as I want to do. So I'll really get aggressive with my habits and my schedule and stuff like that, and really follow it religiously, and then my results will improve until I get to a certain level of comfort, and then I tend to slack off on my schedule a little bit, and the results seem to decrease. So just having gone through that cycle on a number of occasions now, then this is how I know that this is the cycle that actually works, or this is the schedule that actually works really well. So let me talk you through how I schedule my day to get the best results. So here it is, right? Here's what I do. Hopefully you can see all of that. So basically I start out at 6 o'clock in the morning, or pretty close to it. Sometimes it's 6:15, sometimes it's 6:30, but it's before 7, definitely. I don't want to start the day any later than 7. So, and that first hour and a half of the day, from 6 to 7:30, that's when I do my direct mail and I do my personal development. So as I said earlier on, that's where I'll put on some inspirational video, some business coaching video in the background, and I'll go through my direct mail process. So I'll build my list, I'll get the letters printed out, I'll write the envelopes out, stuff like that. So that's the first hour and a half of the day or thereabouts, however long it takes me to do the direct mail. So sometimes it's a bit quicker, sometimes it's a bit longer, usually a bit quicker, but that's where I do that first thing in the morning. After that, I then go to LinkedIn. And I do my LinkedIn follow-up. I contact the people for the day. I get autopilot running. I do everything that we've talked about in LinkedIn, and that's going to take me roughly an hour probably on a daily basis. Again, sometimes more, sometimes less, but now is a good amount of time to do that. That's about what it takes, and I do that between 7:30 and 8:30. After that, after I've done that, I then take a break. So if that's all I did, right? If that's all I did for the whole day, that would be a productive day. Because now it's 8:30 in the morning, I'm 2.5 hours into my day, and I've reached out to probably 30 or 40 people that have never seen me before, that don't know what I do. I've told them what I do, and I've given them the opportunity to engage with me. So ultimately, that's what it's all about on a daily basis. You've got to give people the opportunity to engage with you. You've got to give people the opportunity to reach you. So when I say develop marketing as a habit, then this is where I develop marketing as a habit. It's my first hour and a half or 2.5 hours of the day, and that way by 8:30, if I can do it between 6 and 8:30, my phone's not ringing, my calls haven't started yet, my family's not up, no one's bothering me. The day goes completely wrong at that point, and I'm called out and I have to deal with other stuff. I've done the productive part of the day. I've done my marketing for the day first thing. So then at 8:30 or thereabouts, I'll take a break. There's a post box down the road, and I'll go drop the letters in the post box. I live very close to a lake, so I'll have a quick wander up to the lake, and there's a cafe there. I'll sit and I'll have a coffee, and I'll take a little bit of a break, and I'll just calm down, and I'll take in the serenity of the morning for a little bit and just calm myself down and get situated for the day, right? So that's my reward for doing my marketing. I go to the mailbox, drop it off, and then I go to the lake and I have a coffee, latte or whatever it is that I have. When I come back, now I'm full on into my sales calls, right? So the first part of the day is reaching out to people that don't know me, that have no idea who I am, probably never heard of me before, don't know the service that I offer, and I'm trying to get them to recognize me and ask for a consult, right? So the second part of the day is people that have asked for a consult. They've seen what I can do, and there's a potential match there. So that's where we go into the sales process. So that's where I'll do my consultations, I'll do my strategy sessions, I'll do my sales calls, whatever we want to call them, right? So, and that's going to be typically between 9 and 1. And that's when I'm on the phone, right? That's when I'm on Skype. After that, I want to break the day up a little bit. So I'm going to take an hour for lunch, maybe sometimes a little bit longer, because those calls can be quite intense. They can be quite draining. So we want to be fresh when we come back. So let's say I take an hour for lunch, and then I'll go for a walk. I might go back to the lake again for a little bit just to compose myself again. And then I'm going to come back about 2 o'clock, and that's when I do my service work for my clients. So that's when I'll log into the AdWords campaigns. That's when I'll set up new clients. That's when if anything's going wrong, that's when I'll look at that. Basically, this is where I service the work. So I set between the hours of 2 and 5 every day for just servicing my clients' work, right? And then at 5 o'clock, when I've done that, I go to personal training to keep my health and fitness up to speed as well. So your physical health and fitness is very important. It's going to impact how your business performs. If your body's sluggish and your body's not functioning properly, then that's going to affect every aspect of your life as well. So I mean, I really recommend getting into some kind of personal training routine, whether it's just jogging, walking, getting a personal trainer, going to group coaching, stuff like that. Any of it's really, really good. And then finally, I'll come back from training. Actually, training's usually about 50 minutes, so it's 5 to 5:50, something like that. And then I come back, and then I'll just finally check my emails for the day, make sure that there's nothing that needs dealing with, and then I'll deal with it if it needs dealing with. And if there's nothing that needs dealing with, then that's it. Turn the computer off, turn the laptop off, turn the iPad off, turn the phone off, whatever it's like. At that point, I check out. I'm not doing any more business after that. I'm not working on anything anymore. I want to stay balanced in my life. So after 6:30, that's it. We kind of separate from work, and now I'm at home. So one of my habits that I have to work on consistently, and I'm not brilliant at it, but I'm working on it, is I like to separate work and home. When I'm at work, I'm at work. When I'm at home, I'm at home. And I think that's really important. If you can do that, then you're going to have just a better quality of life. If you're constantly working all the time from 6 in the morning till the time you go to bed, you've got emails and calls and stuff like that, you're going to start to burn out. And the same with the weekends. I take Saturdays, for example. My Saturdays are completely, absolutely, categorically, 100% no work. I don't check emails. I don't take calls. I don't care what's happened on Saturday, or I don't care what's going on Saturday. I don't do work on Saturday. I need one full day away from the business. And I think that's healthy. I think that's something that everybody can benefit from. We need to take one full day of rest where we're just not involved with our business at all. And then Sunday is kind of can go a 50-50 day. If I've got stuff that really needs doing where it's a busy week coming up, I might look at it on Sundays. I might do some planning on Sundays. But generally speaking, Sundays for me is going to be a 90% not work day or non-work day, unless there's just something really important that's in the coming week that I just have to do, or maybe I've got something booked during the week and I'm going to lose a day of work during the week, so I might do it on Sunday. I would allow that on Sundays, but Saturday, categorically, no way, nothing. No phone calls, no emails, no work. You've got to get your mind out of business for at least one day a week. So that's it, really. That's my schedule, and it works for me. It works for people that I've shared it with. Again, like I say, take it, leave it, love it, hate it, throw it out, cook dinner with it, whatever you want to do. It doesn't matter. You've got to find your own way and you've got to do your own thing. But that's a good starting point. That schedule works for me, and it keeps my day broken up nicely, and it allows me to run a pretty big, pretty profitable business with not a huge amount of infrastructure, not a huge amount of people around me. So when I start messing with that schedule, that's when things start to go wrong. So that's it, really. So that's setting up your routine in a way that actually supports and serves your desired outcomes, and you're just not leaving anything to chance and you're hoping that things just show up by accident. We don't want that. We want things more planned than that. So next we're going to talk about the direct mail and why it's great and why everybody should be doing it. We're going to talk about that in the next video, and then moving on from that, we're actually going to put the letter together and we're going to go from there. So I'll see you in the next video. Hello and welcome back to the video on direct mail and why we would use direct mail. So I want to cover in this video just the 6 reasons really why you would want to use direct mail, or why it's a good idea to have it in your bag of tricks. So there's really 6 reasons I think that I would want direct mail, and they are these. So it's a solid foundation to build up on, right? So if you've got direct mail in your business, if you know how to use direct mail, then you're a pretty good marketer. Direct mail is not the easiest thing in the world to get working, and very few people ever do get it working. So if you're able to get it working, then it's an absolute solid foundation to build up on, because regardless of what's going on in the technological space, whether it be Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, AdWords, whatever, it doesn't matter, right? So whatever it is, direct mail is always going to be there, and it's foundational to marketing. If we can take direct mail and apply it to any business that we want to go into, then it's just a great foundation to move forward into the future, and it's something that we know is going to work pretty much anywhere we go. So the reason it's great is because not very many people are doing it right, which gives you reason number 2 to be doing it. You're going to reach prospects who are not on Facebook or LinkedIn, or they're not on you're not going to be able to get them through AdWords or whatever, right? And the reason for that is not everybody is on those platforms. There's going to be a whole heck of a lot of people, prospects, that are out there that simply aren't on LinkedIn or don't respond. They're not on Facebook, or they never would respond to a Facebook ad. And the fact that the barrier to entry for direct mail is a little bit higher, it takes a little bit of effort, and it's not just a case of digital leverage, then there's a whole universe of prospects out there that are not being reached, that are not being targeted. So the level of competition goes down substantially if you can reach those people. And as I put here, you've obviously got a great deal of less competition when it comes to direct mail. Not just your letter competing for attention in the mailbox with everybody else, but the people that you're going to be able to target through direct mail are not going to be as seasoned at seeing marketing offers as they are if they're on Facebook or LinkedIn. They're just going to be targeted all the time, right? Or there's a good possibility of that at least. So the 4th reason that we want to be doing direct mail is because it absolutely positively makes sure that the right person sees the message, right? So again, LinkedIn is good for that. LinkedIn works well for that. Facebook somewhat, I guess. We're not really talking about Facebook on this training, but the thing with direct mail is we address it to a person and we make sure it gets to that person specifically, so we can determine who the person is, who the decision maker is, and we can address a piece of personal mail to that person, and we know for a fact that the right person is actually going to see the message. And that's a really big thing. If the right person is not getting the message, or if the wrong person is getting the message, and it doesn't matter, does it? We're just going to fail. It's not going to work. So reason number 5 for doing direct mail is, well, it kind of goes back to reason one as well, being that you're on solid ground, because direct mail, it's very unlikely that it's going to be regulated or it's going to be shut down in the near future. So if you can get a campaign working on Facebook today and it's said $1.50 a click or whatever, then it could be $10 a click next year. And that's happened. I've been in niches where it's gone from $1.50 to $10 in a 12-month period on Facebook. That happens. Or Facebook could just shut you down, Google could shut you down, LinkedIn could shut you down. It's very unlikely that the rules are going to change to where you're not allowed to send an unsolicited piece of direct mail anytime in the near future. And the costs are very stable as well, right? So it's unlikely that a stamp is going to go from, I don't know where it is around the world, but in Australia, I think it's 70 cents a stamp, right? So it's unlikely that it's going to go to $10 a stamp next year. It's very unlikely. So again, if we can get direct mail working for us and we have that string on our bow, then it just gives an extra layer of stability and security to our business, knowing that if LinkedIn was to stop working, or if other platforms that we may potentially use stop working in the future, then we've got a route to market and we're still going to make money and we're still going to pay our bills and we're still going to be very happy, right? And the last reason to use direct mail, it's really not the last reason, it's probably the first reason, but I put it last, is look, it just works. It's profitable, it works, it gets clients in big numbers. I get great results with direct mail, and really letter for letter, it's probably the most effective method of marketing that I use, really. As far as, for every one letter that I send, how many clients that generates, every 10 letters that I send, how many clients that generates, it's probably the most effective method of marketing. So again, if we're looking at really high competition, competitive niches where the cost per click to get into those markets is going to be very expensive, the level of competition is very expensive, then direct mail is just going to cut through, particularly with what we know now about the unique, irresistible message and stuff like that. If we're able to take those elements that we've learned in previous weeks and apply those to the direct mail letter, then we're going to get some really fantastic results with direct mail. So again, it's profitable, it works, and that by itself really is enough reason to use it. So use it if you want to use it, don't use it if you don't want to use it. As always, it is a little bit more work, it is a little bit more expensive than LinkedIn, but it works, it adds stability to your business, and it's always good to know that you've got it in your bag if you need to use it. So that's it, really. That's the 6 reasons why I use direct mail, and that's the 6 reasons why I would at least experiment with direct mail if I was you, and I would get the skill of using direct mail in your bag of tricks for sure, whether you want to use it at this point in time or not. So it's not better than LinkedIn, it's not worse than LinkedIn, it's not better than Facebook, or it's not worse than Facebook. It's just another route to market. It just gives you another option that's very effective to build your business tall and to build it strong and to put it on solid ground, stable ground, good solid foundations. So that's it, really. That's why I like it. So in the next video, we'll look at the actual letter that we use and we'll go from there. I'll see you in the next video. So welcome back. Now we're going to look at the actual letter that we send out, and we can use this as a template as well. I'll put a template of this letter below this video for you to download, and then you can just add your niche and you can add your social proof and stuff into it. So as long as you keep the format the same, it's going to work pretty well for you. Now you just want to keep in mind here that all the same principles of the irresistible message that we learned in week 2 that applied for LinkedIn apply here as well. So one concept that you want to understand is that direct mail is just a vehicle, LinkedIn is just a vehicle. Any other method of getting your message into the market is just a vehicle for delivering that message, right? It's the message that does the heavy lifting, and it's the message that does all the work. So we've spent the time and we've refined our message hopefully by this point. So if your message is working on LinkedIn, then it's going to work here as well, and vice versa. So keep that in mind. We're pretty much just taking exactly the same principles that we took in week 2 and we applied to LinkedIn last week, and we're just simply applying them to a different vehicle for delivering that message this week. So keep those in mind as we review the letter here, because you're going to see a whole lot of similarities. So let's head over to the letter itself and we can have a look at how this works in practice. So here we are at the letter itself, and let's just read through it and we'll go through the principles one at a time, just as we did with the LinkedIn profile. And this is going to be very similar to that. Remember, we said we want the LinkedIn profile to be, you should be approaching it as a sales letter. Now that's exactly what this is as well. So it's a sales letter, obviously. Now let's go through that, and let's go through this letter and we'll hit the points one at a time. So if you are in a different niche, then you're obviously going to want to change a few things out, but if I can show you what is here and why it's here, then it's very easy for you to make the adjustments if you don't have the exact same elements that I've got on display here. So to start with, we just got this up the top. Please read, this directly affects you. So that's just going to increase, it's going to lift your response just a little bit by having that. So we've got to get the self-interest involved there. So as we start, we've pretty much got exactly the same headline, or we've got exactly the same headline that we used in LinkedIn, right? So if I could guarantee I could give you 50 qualified whatever every month, would you be interested? So again, you just take the message that's working for you on LinkedIn and we apply it here. The only difference here is that we're using the person's first name, right? So we want to get them to read this. So if they just open a letter and it's clearly a sales letter immediately, then they're probably not going to read it. People open their mail over a bin. So as soon as they see it's a sales letter, even if we've managed to get it open, it's going to go straight in the bin. So by using their first name and taking the time to use their first name, it doesn't guarantee that the letter's going to get read, but it gives it a much, much better chance that it's going to get read. So again, if you remember, when we make this statement, when we made it on LinkedIn, we had to back that statement up pretty quickly. So we're saying, if I could guarantee you 50 qualified inquiries, would you be interested every month? Then we need to back that up. So that's exactly what I can do, and the proof is attached. So they're obviously going to be skeptical as soon as they read this. Yes, they want this, but their desire is going to be equaled by their skepticism at this point, right? So we want to address that very quickly. And we do that by saying that the proof is attached. And we want to show some proof as quickly as we possibly can, right? So again, hi Angelo. Now we're into the letter itself. Last month I generated 135 requests for consultations for dental implants in Sydney for one practice. Now, this form here is kind of proof, isn't it? So we're telling them exactly what we've done, and we're showing them the proof, and we're telling them this is consultation request for Sydney last month. So now we've got their desire tweaked here. We've got them interested. Now we've told them that we're going to prove it to them. Now we've proved it to them, and we've reiterated that what we can do for them is going to be very beneficial. So we're now tapping into the self-interest response as opposed to the sales response. So this is very important. So as you can see, we very quickly grabbed their attention, and we've given them the biggest benefit. We've told them exactly what we can do for them, and we've proved it, right? To some extent. Obviously this is not conclusive proof, but it's a certain amount. It's better than nothing, that's for sure, put it that way. So now we want to go into the actual letter itself. So we want to introduce ourselves. My name's Cody Butler, and I'm one of the world's leading marketers of dental implants. I'm looking to generate leads for practice in Sydney. So obviously we're targeting Sydney here. So here's a few random examples of what those 135 requests for consultation look like. These are typical, by the way. So again, we're getting more proof in here. So this is what the leads actually look like, and when they read this, they're going to start to get excited, right? So when we just say we generated 135 requests, well, that could be pretty wishy-washy, right? It could be, well, what's a request? How qualified is it? Where does it come from? When we go down here and we show them that it's actually, that these are pretty good leads, they're very good leads, they're highly qualified, and you can see it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 field form, it looks like, and we're asking a lot of very detailed questions that are relevant to the dentist, then this is going to get them really excited. So obviously these are leads that I've generated, and this is results that I've generated. So the question you've probably got at this point is, well, if I don't have that, what do I do? Well, ideally this is just proof, right? And this is just proof. So hopefully you'll have some proof of some kind, and it can be any proof. It just needs to be some kind of proof. And if you haven't got any proof, then you'll still get a response. It just probably won't be as good of a response because it's not going to get them as interested. So here we could do all kinds of stuff, really. We could go into an AdWords account and we could copy the conversion column or something like that. You just got to get creative, basically. I don't know what it would be for everybody because I don't know individually where everybody is at this particular time. So you've just got to get creative with what you've got, and you've got to do the best that you can do without the proof if you don't have that already. This is why niching down gets really very important, because we're going to have that proof very, very quickly. And if nothing else, we can get some clients on board and we'll give them some extreme risk reversal. We'll tell them we'll work for 30 days, give them a 30-day free trial, something like that, to where we can get them to come on board, and we can use their account and we can start to generate some proof within that account. So whatever you've got to do, everybody deals with this at some point, right? Everybody that has proof didn't have proof at some point in time. This is something everybody has to go through, and again, this is going to come down to your level of determination. You've just got to find a way through this. So a great way is, like I say, is to offer a 30-day free trial, and in that 30 days take the proof that you generate and use it. And it may not be as concrete as this, but any proof is better than no proof. You just want to get some proof in here. So here's a few random examples of those consultations. So as we go down, I also produced 148 inquiries in Brisbane, 94 on the Gold Coast, 74 in Melbourne. So we're just reiterating basically that this is working all over the place. This is not just a one-off. So if we can get that in there, that's going to give them some confidence that it's going to work for them, because there's obviously the objection that, well, this worked for this one practice, or this worked for this one business, will this work for me? So what we're trying to hit here is the point that it works for everybody, right? It works in any situation and it works for everybody. So again, being niche specific is going to help you with that, because you can make statements like this. And the same thing applies here, as I've just said. If you don't have this level of proof yet, then you've just got to do the best you can do without it until you get it. And that's where we've just got to get creative, and we've just got to make that work for us. We've just got to be determined, and we've got to find a way. So as we go down, again, pretty much we're just going back to the LinkedIn profile situation again, right? So we're using exactly the same thing. So I'm not going to labor this point too much. If you want to know more about that, then go back to look at that particular training where we go over the LinkedIn profile. So again, I'm just basically saying this is proprietary, because I don't want to be pigeonholed. I don't want them to think I'm an AdWords manager or something like that. The only place they can get this from is me. Proven campaigns, guaranteed results. So some risk reversal, stuff like that. So as I say, go back and look at the LinkedIn profile video and you'll see why we use all of this stuff if you're unsure about that. All of this combines to equal massive results like you've never seen before. I could do this for you. Are you interested? So again, we want to ask them a question. This is all stuff that we've covered before. Now, this is quite important here, right? So I used to put my phone number on here and people will call you, but the problem with putting your phone number on there that I found is people would catch me off guard, right? So I'd be at the grocery store buying groceries and my phone would ring, and they'd say, oh, I got your letter, can you tell me about this and that, how much does it cost? And I just wouldn't be prepared, and they'd catch me off guard, and very few of those, if any of them thinking about it, actually turned into a sale, because I just wasn't ready. I'd start stuttering and I didn't have the facts in front of me, and it just didn't come across very convincingly. So I changed that to, are you interested? Email Cody@codybutler.com in the next 48 hours and we can have a short, no obligation chat to see if this is right for you. So you want to get this in here, right, in the next 48 hours. We want to get a sense of urgency in there. And why is that? PS, because time is a factor. As I'm actively looking for a successful implant practice in Sydney, I can help become even more successful, and I have approached several practices, right? So by doing this, we're kind of enacting scarcity a little bit, and fear of loss and fear of their competition getting it as well. And in fact, I've got one practice that I work for currently that pays me $2,000 a month simply not to work with any other practices in their town. And that's it. I don't do any work for them. I don't run any implant campaigns for them or anything like that. I spoke to the practice owner. He called me up and he said, well, I'm really not that interested, just because I'm too busy right now. My practice is full and I couldn't take on any more business if I wanted to, but I would like to keep it that way. So I certainly don't want you working with my competition. So how much would I have to pay you to stay out of this town and not work with my competition? So that particular person's paying me $2,000 a month now just not to deal with anyone in his town. And that's the power of this stuff. When people start paying you not to work with their competition, you know that this stuff is working here, right? You know it's doing its job. So again, we're telling them you've got to respond to this within 48 hours, because if you don't, the opportunity is going to be lost. So you need both of these elements in here. And again, we're looking for, risk reversal, short, no obligation, all the stuff we talked about before when we was looking at LinkedIn and stuff like that. We want to make sure all of these elements are here. So if you was in a different niche, if you was in plumbing, for example, let's just say, then you would just change this out accordingly. And last month I generated 135 phone calls for a plumber in Sydney, all right, or whatever. My name's Cody Butler and I'm one of the world's leading marketers of plumbing services. Here's a few random examples of the people that called, something like that. Put some proof in there. Whatever you need to do, you can just put some testimonials, or you can have links to testimonial videos, whatever really. Just get something in there that tells them that you're real, that gets them interested in what it is that you're doing. And then as we come down at the very bottom, I've just added this, added a couple of testimonials in there, and that just really kind of gets them over the edge, right? So if they're still not really believing what's going on so much, then a couple of testimonials just helps to really push them over the edge. So you can come down here, and again, if you haven't got any testimonials, leave this out. I've used this letter without testimonials, and it's got pretty good results. I've used it with testimonials, and it's got pretty good results. So not essential that you have them, but obviously the more proof, the more social proof and the social validation that you can get into this video, or into this letter, excuse me, the better the results that you're going to get and the higher the response rate. So, as I say, not to labor the point and not to keep repeating myself, I think you get it. You basically just want to go through, and if you're going to make any modifications, just make sure that you understand why these things are here and that you're keeping them in place. Obviously, you're not going to use these probably. You're going to want to add your own pieces of proof in there and stuff like that. And that's it, really. It's a very simple letter, very short, to the point. Hits all the points of the irresistible message, and it works really well. So my typical response rate to this letter that I've had personally is probably about 1 in 10, I would say, contact me and ask for a consultation. That when I send this out. So if I'm sending 10 letters a day, then I'm typically getting 4 to 5 consultations a week from that, and that's going to turn into pretty good number of those are going to turn into clients, really. And if I want to ramp that up, then I just send out more letters, and that's all there is to it. So that's the direct mail letter. I'm going to put a copy of that below this video so you can download it, you can modify it, and you can use it for yourself, hopefully, and make some money. That's it. See you in the next video. Hello and welcome back to the video on list building for direct mail, and in this video we're going to cover how to build a target prospect list for people that we can send mails to. Now this is a really pretty easy, pretty straightforward task. We just want to keep in mind that the more specific we can be and the more accurate we can be, the better the results that we're going to get. So we're going to cover that as we go on. So I'm going to head over to Google right now and I'll show you exactly what I do. So here we are in Google, and I'm in Sydney, Australia. So let's, for purposes of demonstration here, assume we're going to be targeting, say, personal injury lawyers here in Sydney. So all we want to do is just Google something that's going to be somewhat related. Personal injury lawyers, that's going to be good. And then I come down here, and this is where I like to look. I like to look at the Google Maps, Google Businesses, whatever they're calling it these days, and just click on more places. And now this is going to bring us a whole big long list of businesses we can potentially target here. So we can see we got 6 pages and probably maybe 30 businesses on this. So that's going to be a ton of people we can target, right? So these first 2 are ads, so I don't mess with those too much. Then what I would do is just go ahead and just right click on a bunch of these websites. So I've got a whole bunch of them open so I can keep my place. So then all we need to do is come over here, and basically all we're doing is we're looking for the name of the person that we would really want to get into contact with, and we're looking for an address, right? So this guy that is clearly Gerald Malouf, so he's the person we're going to want to mail to. So all we need now is an address and we're good to go, right? So here's the address, PO Box 43, Parramatta, New South Wales. So what I do is I come over here, I've got a spreadsheet, and I just put the address in there, and then just write his name down, and the name of the business, which is Gerald Malouf and Partners. So you get the idea. So I will put that here. So now this is the first person that I'm going to target, right? So I've got a name, address, business name, so on and so forth. So we're good to go there. So that's our first prospect for the day. Next we've got Shine Lawyers. So this one I think is a pretty big company, but let's have a look and see anyway. So meet the team or about us. So this is the place where you can start to look for the names of the people that you want to contact. So let's see here. So usually the person at the top is going to be the person that you need to contact, right? So the further down we go, the less important these people become generally. So the owner of the business tends to put themselves at the very top. So when you've got a whole bunch of people like this, now we can search here actually by partner. So let's look at that. So yeah, so this guy, Alistair Donaldson, this guy would seem to be the person we want to contact, right? So we're going to put him in there. Now we just need an address. So let's come down and see if we can find an address at the bottom possibly. City CBD is probably going to be the most likely, so the central business district. And we can see, here we go, we've got our name and address here. So I just copy the name, or the address rather, paste it in, and then the business name. And they've done that for us very nicely here as well. See if there's any other relevant information. So this might be someone that we would want to contact possibly. We just got to have a look around and decide who the best person is. So Soren Bakik is the branch manager at the CBD, so he might actually be the person we want to contact. Or what we could do here is we could send two letters. This is probably what I would do. I would send one to Alistair, and I would send a separate one to the branch manager if I really wanted to go after this business. So next we've got personal injury law. So again, let's just see what we can find here. Our people is always a good place to start. And here we go. Frank Boitano is going to be the guy, it looks like. So we just paste that in. Next we need to find an address. Bottom of the page is always a good place to start. So let's have a look. Contact us is a good place as well to look for addresses. So they're not really showing us an address on the website, it doesn't look like. So this is where we can go back and we can see if we can find it here, right? So we're at, who was it again? personalaccreditedspecialist.com. So let's just click on the directions and see if it gives us an address. So here's our address basically. We've got 8. Let's see if that picked up. Yeah, 8 Village Street, Parramatta, and then the name of the business is basically personal injury law. So we could just take this like so. We don't have to be too fussy about it. And that's it really. So now you can see already I'm starting to build my list of people to target for the day. So again, I'm doing this very quickly and you can kind of get an idea. The more specific you can be with this, the better the results you're going to get. Now the ones at the top are going to be the biggest players in the game basically, and as we can see here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 offices here for this particular firm. So are these going to be the best ones to target? You know what, probably not, to be perfectly honest, because they're very big and they're going to be difficult to get to the right person. So as we go down the list and the firms start to get a little bit smaller, then they start to become a little bit better prospects, right? So again, it's if we can find the right person in a smaller firm, then we're going to be able to get to that person and we're going to be able to get the mail in their hands, right? So again, there doesn't seem to be this doesn't seem to be a great one. They're probably still a little bit too big at this point. So what have we got here? So we've got BPC, Beelby, Poulden, Costello lawyers, and we've got Mr. Poulden here. So this obviously is going to be the right person, right? This is the person we want to speak to. So again, we just go through. Now we just need an address, and that's usually going to be found in Contact Us or the bottom of the page. Yep, here it is. So we've got 201 Elizabeth Street. And that's it. We just go through. As you can see, it's not really taking very much time to go through. I've got a list of 1, 2, 3, 4 people already in literally 5 minutes. So it's pretty easy, pretty straightforward, right? So that's the way you do that really. It doesn't need to be very complicated. And then the way I do it is I just make my list of prospects for the day. And you can leave them in there as well if you want to. Like usually what I'll do is when I get to the end of the day, I just put a red line so I can see where I got to the previous day, and then I start again down here. That way if I start to get duplication, I can avoid that a little bit. I can avoid the duplication in my process, and that's it. And then I just take the name and use it in the direct mail as we've covered, and I use the address and the name of the business obviously for the envelope, and that really is it. It's a very, very simple process that you can get more complicated if you want to as you get as you start to look for more prospects. So there's going to be legal directories and stuff like that where you're going to be able to find all of the law firms that are listed. Let's have a look and see if we can find one quickly. So we've got something like this, the Law Society, so they may have a list of people. This might be helpful. Again, just go through and have a play with it really and see what you can find. There's usually a list of accredited firms and stuff like that here. You might be able to find that. You might not. I don't know. I haven't actually looked specifically for this, but I know with the medical stuff and with most trades and stuff like that, you're going to find industry specific directories that can actually be really quite useful. So a good example, let me just show you an example quickly just so you can see. So one that I've used personally is What Clinic, and that works really well in Australia. You're going to have similar directories in your country wherever you are. So if we go for cosmetic surgeon, cosmetic surgery clinics in or near, so this looks like it's worldwide actually, so this could be, let's try it worldwide. Let's try New York, just out of curiosity. So no information there. Let's try dental implants in Sydney. So again, you can see this is going to bring back 421 businesses we can potentially target here. And the reason I like this is because if we go over here quickly, we can see that it's going to give us the staff member, we've got the name of the business, and we've got the address all in one place. So this really super simplifies the whole process if we're using this. So again, there's going to be various niche directories available in your industry. We can't go through all of those, it's really beyond the scope of this video, but just do a little Google search, find out Yellow Pages, Yelp, that kind of stuff. It's all going to be very helpful. So but that's basically what I do. That's how I build my list every day, and then I go ahead and get the mails put together, send them out, and that's it. So that's the end of this video, and in the next video I believe we're going to look at putting the envelope together. So I'll see you over there. Hello and welcome back. So now let's talk about the envelope for just a second, and it really is going to be for just a second. This is not difficult or complicated, so we're not going to take much time to talk about it. So the envelope is very important because we need to assure a couple of things with the envelope, and that is firstly that it actually makes it past the gatekeeper, and secondly we need to be sure that it gets opened and read by the decision makers. So that's pretty easy to do really. So here's a copy of the letter that I use, the envelope that I use. So it can just be white or manila padded envelope. I'm not sure exactly what size it is, but you can kind of see there it's bigger than a standard envelope. It's probably twice the size of a standard envelope, and we want to do it in just a way that's very personal. We want to address it to the person. We want to do it with handwriting. We don't want to use a printer or something like that, and we want a live stamp on it. And that's it. And I've kind of experimented with writing private on it and leaving private off and stuff like that. And I don't think it makes a huge amount of difference either way, to be honest. I generally put private on there just because it's more likely to go through the gatekeeper with that on there, I think. So we want to address it to the person. If you received a letter like that in the post, would you open it is the question. Would you be intrigued and would you open it? The answer is you would have to. You'd have no choice but to open that. The curiosity would just be massive. So if we're using just business envelopes with printer typeface on it and it just looks like every other piece of material that comes through, it's going to get opened by the gatekeeper. It's going to be seen as a marketing message and it's going to get thrown away. So with this, we're sort of trying to make it look a little bit personal. It could be from a friend, it could be from a family, it could be something that you bought off eBay or Amazon, right? We want that kind of look to it. And I just like the big blue Sharpie pen. I think that just adds a little bit more intrigue to it as well. So I like the big blue Sharpie. I think it adds something, like I say. So that's it really. We don't need to complicate this. We don't need to talk about this more than the 2 minutes we've talked about it. There's very little to it. You just want to make sure that the letter is going to get through, and a handwritten envelope that's a padded envelope that's slightly oversized is going to be the best way to do that. The only way you could really screw this up is you start to get novel with it. So you don't want to get into novelty. You don't need pink envelopes with perfume and stuff like that. It's not necessary. You just need a standard envelope that's got a little bit of curiosity factor, and that's it. We're done. That's the envelope. So you've got the letter, you've got the envelope, and as you can see, it's all very personalized. We've done the research. We know who we're sending it to. The letter's personalized to the person with that irresistible message. We've got the envelope addressed to the right person, and now all that's left to do is put it in the mailbox and wait for all the goodness to roll in. That's it. That's the end of this video. I'll see you in the next video where we talk about putting it all together. And again, that's going to be a very, very short video. I'll see you there. So here we are at the end of week 4. Congratulations for getting this far. It's a great achievement, and you should be proud of yourself. I'm definitely proud of you. So in this short video, and it is going to be a short video, we're just going to talk very quickly about putting it all together. So really, there's not a lot to say really. You put the letter in the envelope, you put the stamp on the envelope and put it in the mailbox. That's really all there is to it. The only nuance that I would add, the only thing, the caveat that I would add is don't get hung up on this stuff. The enemy to your progress is obsessing over details here. So it's much better that you get your message out there and you do it in a way that you do it badly than that you don't do it at all, right? So a message put in front of somebody badly is better than no message in front of them at all, for sure. So some of the things that people get hung up on quite frequently here are stuff like, should I use their title like doctor or whatever, or should I just use their first name or their whole name, stuff like that. Don't get hung up on that. You know, what about the address of the envelope? Do I put the business name before the name or after? It doesn't matter. Do it either way. Just do it, right? Just get it out there. Don't get hung up on these details. You just want to get your letters out there. You just want to get your messages out there any way you can. The details are really not that significant. What's significant is that you're getting out there in volume. So now you have the letter, you know what the envelope looks like. You want to make it look like an eBay, something from eBay or something from Amazon, to where the secretary is not necessarily going to open it. And you've really got everything you need to get going here. So the only detail that I would add here is that personally I send 10 letters per day. That's my routine, that's my habit. So I'm sending 50 letters a week. You've got to come up with a number that works for you, right? So I can commit to 10. 10's reasonable for me. It takes me about an hour to an hour and a half to get those out. And like I say, my routine is that I'm listening to my personal development and my PMA stuff in the background. So that hour and a half is pretty easy for me. I look forward to and enjoy that hour and a half of the day. But you got to do what works for you. And what's most important is not the number that you come up with, but coming up with a number that you can commit to and you can do it on a daily basis, right? So if you can only commit to 3 on a daily basis, then fine, commit to 3. But what a lot of people do, and I wouldn't advise doing, is they just go, oh, I'm going to send out 500 the first week and I'm going to get 50 clients and that's how it's going to be. It's not going to be like that, right? So all that's going to do is frustrate you and it's going to burn you out and it's going to disappoint you. What you want to do is commit to a set amount on a given day. It's the tortoise that runs that it's the tortoise that wins the race, not the hare. Remember, this is a marathon, so we want to be getting consistent numbers into the marketplace on a consistent basis. And by just going at it hell for leather from the very beginning and sending out a huge amount, it's not really the way to do it. You want to be consistent, you want to get out there consistently, and you want to put consistent numbers of letters into the marketplace. That's the way to do it. That's the way to get sustainability. So you want to find what works for you. As always, what works for me is not necessarily the right thing for you. Maybe you can do more than me. Maybe your mind allows you to deal with this stuff a little better than mine, or vice versa. I don't know. Maybe you should do less than me. So you just got to find what works for you. There's no straitjacket here. There's no set rule. And at the end of the day, you don't have to do it at all. You can avoid the direct mail altogether if you want to. I'm just trying to give you another route to market here that allows you to build some stability into your business. So it's your choice. You can send a few or none, or you can send a lot. It's entirely up to you, as always. So I'm going to leave it there. This is pretty self-explanatory stuff. I don't want to bash the point any more than I already have. So you've already done very well to watch all the content up to this point. So I'm going to keep this as brief as possible. So again, I appreciate your attention. I appreciate you watching this, and I really hope you're getting great results at this point. And I'm looking forward to seeing you next week, where we're actually going to get into the sales process. So we're going to look at holding consultations. We're going to look at some sales techniques. We're going to look at how we can increase conversion rates once we get people on the phone, because as you're probably experiencing already, it's really not very difficult to get people on the phone, right? We're getting a lot of people on the phone on a daily basis, definitely on a weekly basis. So now it becomes important how we handle those calls and how we manage the sales process. So we're going to go into a lot of detail next week on that. It's going to be a great training. It's one of my favorite subjects. I'm looking forward to seeing you there. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll talk to you very, very soon.